Hi there, my name is Ron. You might not know this, but I like Nintendo games a lot. Growing up, I didn't really have the chance to buy a ton of video games and consoles, but when I did around 2009 or so, I was always keen on keeping the things I bought and building out something of a collection. It started with my Nintendo DS, and ever since then I've accumulated a few games for the systems that came out, like the 3DS, the Wii, and now the Switch. But here's the thing, I never really dove back into those older systems like the Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, or stuff like the Nintendo 64 or the GameCube. Even though I had a Wii with GameCube support, I just figured the cost of the GameCube controllers and memory cards wouldn't really be worth the effort, so I never really dove back into it. That is, until recently I bought this Game Boy Advance SP, specifically the AGS-001 model. Now, I know the AGS-101 model has a much better backlight, but come on, this is the NES edition. It's beautiful. So the outside looks like the NES console seen from above. Then when you open it, it's got this beautiful texture that looks just like the NES controller. This is awesome, and for 60 bucks, I mean, I think that was a pretty good deal. But here's the thing with Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games. They came in these cardboard cases, so they were really easy to throw away. And not only that, these are the oldest platforms, or some of the oldest platforms that you can buy games for. So it's really easy for them to have been thrown away over time, even if you didn't do it right away. It's been a long time, so a lot of people probably threw them away, and that makes it much harder to find copies of these games in the cases at reasonable prices. So I decided the unthinkable. I would be okay with buying just the cartridges without the case. But here's the thing with that though. I like having my games on a shelf, in a way that I can see them all and know where they are and show them off very easily. So if I'm going to buy them loose, I decided that I wanted to build a way that I could store them and show them off at the same time. I decided that I wanted to design something in 3D and then have it printed. I found some 3D printable objects on the internet that allow you to store Game Boy games, but they're really designed for the games to stand up, and I wanted something, like I said, that's very easily visible on the shelf where I can see all my games and identify them quickly without having to like flip through them, which was what the ones I found were designed for. Plus, I think I really wanted to design something myself. I actually recorded the whole process of me designing that, but that would have been a really long video, so we'll summarize it here. I started by measuring the Game Boy cards, excluding the little Game Boy banner at the top, because I wanted the games to be easy to pull out of the shelf. Also, I know that the Game Boy cards are much taller than the Game Boy Advance cards, but keep in mind that the Game Boy Advance cards do have a big ridge at the top that stops them from going in, so even if they're not as tall, they're never going to get lost in there. So then I had to start designing, and initially I really wanted to have a shelf with space for 20 games, 2 rows with 10 games each. I used this online tool called Tinkercad, which has some really neat tutorials to get started that really help if you've never designed anything in 3D before, which I haven't. And after a few hiccups, I was finally done with it. Except when I sent it to my friend who has a 3D printer, he told me that it would take 19 hours to print, and there was a very high chance of things going wrong in that time. So we agreed that I would cut it in half, and I only ended up with 10 spaces for games. Then I had it printed at my local library, and here it is. I can finally insert my games. Yeah, as it turns out, I measured things wrong initially, and the games didn't actually fit. So I had to correct the measurements a bit, and finally, I got this. It's different, guys, I swear. With this new size, I can finally insert the Game Boy cards here. They're a bit tight, but I think that's fine. I don't really plan on inserting these things too often, inserting and removing them, I mean. Also, even though these are a bit tight in here, Game Boy Advance cartridges are just slightly thinner, so they are actually a bit loose inside this. So it's probably best to keep it this way. Now I can have my Game Boy games next to all my other games that have boxes. And eventually my plan is to actually print labels for the spines so I can easily identify each game in here. But I haven't done that yet because I only have 2 Game Boy cartridges, and these labels are tiny, so I feel like that would be a waste right now. But eventually, yes, that is the goal. So what do you think? Do you want to have a shelf like this for your Game Boy games? If you do, I'll leave a link for the 3D object file that I used for this, and you can just have it printed wherever you can nearby you. Or if you want to, like, you can just design one yourself. I'll leave the measurements for the specific fitting in the description so you can use those and design something yourself. Tinkercad is a really great tool for that, so you can give that a whirl if you want to. So anyways, thank you for watching this video. Is there anything else that you think you'd like me to talk about that is related to Nintendo? I plan on making these videos maybe every week. I want to make more. I have some ideas myself, but if you have any ideas or anything that you'd like me to talk about, let me know in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time.